Hi friends, in this video let us understand proper and improper fractions. Let us also understand equivalent fractions. Let us begin. In this video today we are going to learn about what are proper fractions, what are improper fractions. Improper fractions are also called as mixed fractions. We are also going to learn the concept of equivalent fractions. So let us begin. In our video on Introduction to Fractions, we have explained the concept of fractions and also the notation of a fraction. Let us recap this. A fraction means part of a whole object. Representation of a fraction is usually numerator upon a denominator. This means the numerator says that there is one part which is taken out of the two parts made of a whole object. Thus, a fraction represents one part of the two parts made of the whole objects here. Half is a fraction, numerator is 1, denominator is 2. That means of a whole objects we made two parts and we took one part. When the numerator is smaller than the denominator, the fraction is called proper fraction. We can see with these examples, 1 is smaller than 2, 3 is smaller than 4, 5 is smaller than 6, and we have got proper fractions. Now let us take a packet of biscuits having 12 biscuits in them. That means this packet is a whole and there are 12 pieces which are those biscuits. In this, what we do, we take 3 biscuits out of the 12 biscuits. So it is represented as 3 by 12. It's a proper fraction. Here we took 4 biscuits and we got 4 by 12. Here we took 5 biscuits and we got 5 by 12. These are the examples of proper fractions. When the numerator is bigger than the denominator, the fraction is called improper fraction or mixed fraction. That means if you see 3 is bigger than 2, 5 is bigger than 4, 11 is bigger than 6, that means something is mixed in this, which is making the numerator bigger, and we don't know which is the fraction part in this. Or rather, we can say that a fraction part is mixed with a whole part. That is, here it is not a part of the whole alone, but something more than part of a whole. That is, fraction part and also a whole part is mixed together. The mixed fractions or improper fractions are represented in two ways. 3 by 2 is nothing but 2 plus 1 divided by 2, that is equal to 1 plus half, which implies that 3 by 2 can be written as 1 whole and half fraction, 1 integer and half as a fraction. That is the reason we can say that 3 by 2 is nothing but a mixed fraction, 1 integer and 1 fraction part. Same thing with 5 by 4, it is 4 plus 1 divided by 4, that is equal to 1 plus 1 by 4, which can be represented as 1 whole part with 1/4 as a fraction. 11 by 6 again can be represented in the same way. 6 plus 5 divided by 6 is equal to 1 plus 5 by 6, which implies that 11 by 6 is nothing but 1 5 divided by 6. 1 integer and the fraction part is 5 divided by 6 and can be represented in this mixed fraction form. Let us understand this concept with a day-to-day life example. We have 2 packets of biscuit, each having 12 biscuits. So these are 2 whole parts. Now let us understand how we get mixed fractions from this or improper fractions. We keep one part of the biscuit as it is and we open the other biscuit packet and get 12 pieces out of it or 12 parts. Now if I want to take 15 biscuits, what I do? I get 15 biscuits here, but then I represent, but totally how many biscuits I had? 24 biscuits I had here. I took 15 biscuits. So this is represented as one part, a whole, and 3 by 12. That means I took one biscuit whole packet and I took 3 parts from an open biscuit packet, and it is represented as 15 by 12. That is, a whole is mixed with a part. Same thing here. I took a whole biscuit packet and I took 4 parts from an open part. That means the whole here is the 12 biscuits, and 3 biscuits here are nothing but a part of a whole. Same thing here. I took 5 biscuits and I represented it as 17 by 12, or we can say one whole biscuit packet and 5 by 5 pieces are represented as a fraction of the whole. Equivalent fractions represent fractions which have different numerator value and denominator value, but they represent the same amount of part of the whole. Let us understand this concept. 2 by 4, 1 by 2 and 4 by 8 are equivalent fractions. How? Let us understand it further. We take an apple and divide it into 2 parts. When you divide it into 2 parts, you take one part of it and you get half. That means you have taken half of a whole apple, or one part of the 2 parts which you made. Now, if I cut these half portions into another half portions, I get totally 4 parts. But I take only 2 portions of it, and again I get 2 by 4. If you see, these 2 portions are equal, okay? But the fractional representation of them are different. But since they represent the same quantity of the whole apple, they are called equivalent fractions. Now I further divide these small pieces into further parts. I made 8 parts out of it and I take 4 parts out of it. And what do I get? I get the same portion of the apple and I represent it as 4 by 8. Hence, so we can say that the equivalent fractions represent fractions which have different numerator value and denominator value, but they represent the same amount of part of the whole. Hence, they represented the same amount of apple of the whole apple. If you see, equivalent fractions represent fractions which have different numerator value and denominator value, but they represent the same amount of the part of the whole. Now let us take a melon, okay? Let us divide it into parts. We divide it into 3 parts and we take one part of it. How do we represent it? 1 out of 3. We made further parts of it and we got 6 parts and we represented it as 2 by 6. We made 9 parts and we represented, and we took 3 parts and we represented as 3 by 9. But if you see, though the fractional representation is different, the quantity which it represents is the same, and hence this is called equivalent fractions. Again, we can say the same thing, that the represented amount of the melon, or the part of the melon which all these fractions represented, was the same, though their numerator and denominator were different, and hence it is called as equivalent fractions. So we have completed the concept of proper fractions and improper fractions, or mixed fractions, with real life examples. We have also completed the concept of equivalent fractions with real life examples. Friends, I hope you have understood the concepts and enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe the video. Thank you for watching our video.